Andy. Play loud.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for being here. We stand together this evening with Israel and in solidarity with Israel, and our service will reflect that. First of all, I'd like to thank some very important guests that are here with us tonight. Reverend Diane Ford and a dear friend of Monmouth Reform, Reverend Katja Grunig, and also members of the Unitarian Meeting House who have come to support us in this time of need. We also like to thank our speaker for this evening, Andy Melnick. When I first met Andy and began speaking to him, I thought he was probably the most interesting person in the world. And I told him that. And, and I have already learned so much from him, and I know that we all will tonight. We begin with a poem by Yehuda Amichai, The Diameter of the Bomb. The diameter of the bomb was 30 centimeters, and the diameter of its effective range about 7 meters. With 4 dead and 11 wounded, and around these in a larger circle of pain and time, 2 hospitals are scattered and 1 graveyard. But the young woman who was buried in the city she came from at a distance of more than 100 kilometers enlarges the circle considerably. And the solitary man mourning her death at the distant shores of a country far across the sea includes the whole world in the circle. And I won't even mention the crying of orphans that reaches up to the throne of God and beyond, making a circle with no end and no God. That's how it feels like for me personally this week. When I received news of what was happening in Israel, I turned on the TV and was shocked and shaken to my inmost core. I never expected to see those images. And I never expected to hear stories that I've heard this past week of incredible survival, of the retired generals in their 70s and 80s who came out and joined in battle even though they had no uniform and were able to find helmets and weapons taken off terrorists and were able to rescue members of the IDF who needed rescuing. I've heard from families who were trapped in their safe room for more than 10 hours with no bathroom, with no food, with young children, waiting for someone to come and help them. The editor of Haaretz was one such man. And when he called his father, who was a retired general in the IDF, His father responded with, "Aniba, I'm coming." And they set out in 2 cars, he and his wife, and she took any soldier she could find that was injured and brought him back to Tel Aviv in her car. And he, with his old brigade, had pistols and were able to kill terrorists and then take their weapons. They made it down to his house, an 1.5-hour drive in 10 hours, and knocked on a part of the safe door that they knew could be heard outside. And he said, "Saba Hagia, Grandpa's here." We've heard of so many heroes. And then we've heard of so many people who have lost their lives. And people and children and Holocaust survivors who've been kidnapped. And we also know that Israel is a people of hope. One of the rabbis around the Gaza area who takes care of the kibbutzim said that Israel feels busha right now, which is the word for shame. That they feel naked and embarrassed that they weren't prepared. But that's not how the rest of the world sees them. And we need to help them recognize in the coming weeks, months, and years that they're heroes. There are heroes, no matter their age or stage in life. I have no more words because I'm still processing what I'm seeing and hearing from friends and family in Israel. But tonight, we pray for peace. We begin our service on page 120 and invite up Colton Fox, who will become a bar mitzvah tomorrow morning, to light the candles and to recite the Kiddush.
You want to light that? Okay, light that. Make this go down.
As the Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by all lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, on our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the 7th day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the 7th day from all work that God had done. And God blessed the 7th day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all work of creation that God had done.
Hold it up high.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uratzon hinhaltanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit Kiva tila lemikra e kodesh zeher lesiyat Mizraim Kivanu vicharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim Vishabat kojaha be'ava uratzon hin haltanu Baruch atah Adonai mitzadesh ha-Shabbat.
You can have a sip. Amen. Great job, Colton. And we're really looking forward to tomorrow morning. You can sit back with Amy.
This is our hope. The next generation who are able to lead us in prayer, and every single one of you who are here tonight. You are our hope. We're going to be flipping around the prayer book tonight, going from tunes to the middle, to the back, to readings and the front. It'll be a little finger gymnastics, but it will be worth it. We continue on page 539 with Im Tirtzu.
Im Tirtzu, Im Tirtzu, Ein Zo Agada, Ein Zo Agada, Lihotam Chofshi be'artzenu, be'eretz Sion, Yerushalayim tirtzu, Im Tirtzu, Ein Zo Agada, Ein Zo Agada, Liot am Chofshi be'artzenu, be'eretz Sion, Yerushalayim.
And those words we sang, if you will it, it is no dream to be a free people in Zion and Jerusalem. Keep your hand kind of around here before you go back.
We turn back to page 148 for the Baruch as we rise.
146.
Baruchu et Adonai ha-mevorach. Baruchu et Adonai ha-mevorach. Baruch Adonai ha-mevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai ha-mevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruchu et Adonai ha-mevorach. Baruchu et Adonai ha-mevorach.
We keep our hand in this page and we turn to page 543. The state of Israel will foster the development of the country for the benefit of all its inhabitants. It will be based on freedom, justice, and peace, as envisioned by the prophets of Israel. It will ensure complete equality of social and political rights to all its inhabitants, irrespective of religion, race, or sex. It will guarantee freedom of religion, conscience, language, education, and culture. It will safeguard the holy places of all religions and will be faithful to the principles of the Charter of the United Nations. We turn back to page 152 for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated for the Via Hafta, page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אלוהים ציווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם ניות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו מה עשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We keep our hands and turn to page 543. A reading by Chaim Hefer. This wall has heard many prayers. This wall has seen the fall of many other walls. This wall has felt the touch of mourning women. This wall has felt petitions lodged between its stones. This wall saw Rabbi Yehuda Halevi trampled before it. This wall has seen Caesars rise and fall. But this wall has never seen paratroopers cry. This wall saw them tired and wrung out. This wall saw the wounded infiltrated, running to it with excitement, cries, and silence, and creeping as torn creatures in the alleys of the old city, as they're covered with dust and with parched lips. They whisper, "If I forget thee, if I forget thee, Jerusalem." How does it happen that paratroopers cry? How does it happen that they touch the wall with great emotion? How does it happen that their weeping changes to song? Perhaps because these boys and young women of 19, born at the same time as the state, carry on their shoulders 2,000 years. Page 165. Please rise.
Why? Where are we?
We're doing Boober. Yep.
Page 158. Page 150. Page 158.
I need to get better glasses, I'm sorry.
You're keeping me on my toes, Rabbi.
Sorry.
Micha mocha va'elim Adonai. Micha mocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora,
Nora,
tehilot,
Tehilot,
Osei,
Osei,
Vele,
Vele,
Nora,
Nora,
Tehilot,
Tehilot,
Osei,
Osei,
Vele,
Vele,
Micha mocha va'elim Adonai. Micha mocha nedar ba'kodesh.
We turn to page 545 and read this passage by Abraham Joshua Heschel at the top together. Israel is a personal challenge, a personal religious issue. It is a call to every one of us as an individual, a call which one cannot answer vicariously. The ultimate meaning of the state of Israel must be seen in terms of the visions of the prophets, the redemption of all. The religious duty of the Jew is to participate in the process of continuous redemption, and seeing that justice prevails over power, that awareness of God penetrates human understanding. And we turn to page 162 to join in Vishamru.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lazot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lazot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Israel, oti leolam, oti leolam. Veshamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat, lazot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
On the top of page 163, we read together, "We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time." Page 164, we rise for the tefillah, or the Hamidah, the standing prayer.
Adonai sefatitah ufi hagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Zara, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanara, Eleyod, Gomech Chasadim Tovim, V'Kornei HaKol, V'Zoher Chasei Avot V'Imahot, Mevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Chozer Moshiach Magei, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Yizrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Michei Kol atah, Rab L'Hoshia. Mashiv HaRuach u'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim b'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol b'Rachamim Rabim, Somich Noflim Drafei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar. Michamocha Bal Giburot, Umidom Melach, Melech Meimit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Eneman Atal החיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהלוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. We turn to the top of page 173 and read responsively. My side starting with May These Hours, and Cantor's side starting with May All Who Struggle. Together, may these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth.
May all who struggle find rest on this day.
May all who suffer find solace.
May all who hurt find healing on this day.
May all who despair find purpose.
May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day.
And may this day fulfill its promise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Page 177. God of goodness, we give you thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of our soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with incredible beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks.
Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha, Ucha Na'eh Lahodot.
Page 178. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim, Tasim Le'olam. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol Shalom, Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim, Tasim Le'olam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael. Behodit uvehoshah
we take moments of silent prayer. And instead of listening to your head at this time, I'd like you to listen to your heart and see what you find there. It's okay to feel everything you're feeling. We all are. We go from moments of sadness to hearing about a baby born in Israel in the midst of all this, and it turns to joy and wonder. We pray silently.
Shalom b'ramav, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'ramav, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'ramav, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom. Oseh shalom b'ramav, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'ramav, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'ramav, u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol
We turn to page 377. Avinu Shabashamayim, Sor Yisrael v'go'alo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. And we say together,
Amen.
Amen. We turn to page 363 for Seder Kriyat Torah, the service of the reading of Torah.
Please rise.
Susharim Roshechem V'chin hasu pitkei olam Ve'yavo melech hakavod.
Tonight's your night.
Mehui ze melech hakavod Adonai tzavot U'melech hakavod Selah U'melech hakavod Lecha Adonai hangedura, hangevura, batiferet v'hanitzach v'hahud. Ki chol bashamayim u'ba'aretz, ki chol bashamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamanaga, v'minaseh lechol rosh. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim ha'olam omer. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim ha'olam omer. Al haTorah ve'al avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Al haTorah ve'al avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. V'ha'ernihu b'toratecha v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha v'yachid levahavenu le'ahava u'yirah et shemecha Eloi nevush le'olam va'ed Eloi nevush le'olam va'ed V'ha'ernihu b'toratecha v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha v'yachid levahavenu le'ahava u'yirah et shemecha.
So last week, we ended the Torah and began again. And so we're again at the beginning of the Torah, at Bereshit, which begins with the creation of God. Creating the earth. I had an opportunity to look at the new Torah commentary that's coming out from the Reform movement. What they did is take a look at the Hebrew and how the Hebrew words play on each other. And the translation is so beautiful. It's poetic. It's punny where it's supposed to be punny. But it talks to people of our generation. And most of the translation, if you've got Isaac, Yitzhak is translated as Yitzhak. And so I can't wait to begin to share this with you. I was on a call with 30 other congregations that are piloting this, and we're in for something special. So I'm going to ask, there are 12 places. If anyone is interested in studying the Torah, please come and let me know and join us. There will be 3 separate study sessions.
So the rabbi and I did not volunteer anyone about doing an aliyah tonight. So anybody who would like to come up and do the Torah aliyah and be with us tonight on the bima, please join us.
Oh, Amy.
Good. All right, we got a few.
Come on. Keep joining us. As many people as want on the bima. Oh, okay. I'm sure I'm going to do the next one.
Good.
Do you want to translate?
Okay.
You got it.
Oh, good.
So
All right,
if
can
everyone
everyone
just
see the
wants to see the first word,
Oh,
Bereshit.
Yeah.
The bet is bigger.
Where is it?
Right up here.
Oh, at the beginning.
At the beginning. It begins with a bet.
starting all over. All right, here we go.
Baruch Adonai Habarach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Habarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natah
את השמיים ואת הארץ, והארץ היו תוהו ובוהו, וחושך על פני תהום, ורוח אלוהים מרפאת על פני המים. ויאמר אלוהים יהי אור, ויהי אור. וירא אלוהים את האור כי טוב. ויבדל אלוהים בין האור ובין החושך, ויקרא אלוהים לאור יום ולחושך קרא לילה, ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום אחד. When God started creating, so it's interesting in the Torah as opposed to the Mesopotamian and Sumerian myths at the time, God is already there, and they've got to create God. They've got to kill the gods that are there first to create another God. So when God began to create, Elohim, the masculine form of God, et hashamayim, at the heavens, ve'et haaretz, and the earth, and the earth, haita tohu vevohu, absolute chaos. The universe was filled with absolute chaos. Nothing was organized. And darkness reigned upon the face of the waters, and the wind of God blew on the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God said, "This light is good." And he divided the light between the light and between the darkness. And God called the light Or, and he called the darkness Lila, night. Vayhi erev, vayhi boker, yom echad. It was evening and it was morning, day one.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Thank you all.
Tomorrow, Colton will read from a different section of the same portion. Please rise.
וזאת התורה אשר שמשה לפני ישראל אבינו אדוני ביד משה. וזאת התורה אשר שמשה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. לי 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 לי
While the Torah is standing in front of us, we offer a mishaberach, a blessing of healing, for all those who are sick in mind, body, spirit, and soul. Traditionally, this is said when the Torah is open before us, and there are other prayers that we add. If someone has recovered from an illness, if someone has come back from a long and horrible journey, if someone sailed the seas, lots of other, the Birkat HaGomel, lots of other prayers that we say. This week, we say a mishaberach, not only for those in our community, but for those who are hurting in Israel and innocent Palestinians. We mention Rabbi Robert Orak, Nancy Baskin, Martha Branween, Nancy Keller-Coffey, Robert Summers, Jessica Knight, Niles Choper, Judith Landau, Pam Friedman, Eric Blumenfeld, Debbie Levin, Larry Boxman, Robert Goldman, Jean O'Connor, Myra Taxa, Bernard Shagan, Patricia Rosenman, Maisha McElhaney, Linda Kaplan, Deborah Thompson, Michael Gindi, Marianne Gable, Sandra Brown, Noach Korach Gilad, and Becky Gaudet. As my eyes go around the room, please add your name to this list if you know of anyone who's ill. Thank you. Thank you. And I know a lot of you on live stream have family in Israel, and we say a prayer for all of their health and their spirit, and they need to know that we're sending over our strength, our power, and our love to them. Misha Beirach is found on page 371.
Misha Beirach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Dimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Beirach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Dimotenu. That those in need are healing with refuah shlema, renewal of body, renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We turn to page 374 to return the Torah to the ark.
It's Chaim hi lamachazikima v'tom mechecha me'ushar derachecha darchinom v'tom tivatecha shalom ashivedu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Kadesh Amenu kekedem, Kadesh Amenu kekedem.
It gives me great joy to introduce someone who you've probably known much longer than I have, but someone who sends me important things that I need to read every day. And they are important. If they weren't, I would say, stop sending me stuff. But I learn more. And I thank you for being my teacher. Andy serves on the National Board of Governors of the American Jewish Committee, as well as the board of the Arabian Gulf Institute, an agency of the AJC. He chairs the AJC's Investment Committee, which provides guidance to its endowment, and is a member of its Budget Committee. He has been a member of Monmouth Reform Temple for over 25 years. He thinks, we're gonna go with that. And as a member of its Finance and Investment Committee. He lives with his wife Eunice in the Locust section of Middletown and has 2 adult children and a granddaughter. He also has a home in Key West, Florida, where he is a member of Congregation B'nai Zion, the oldest synagogue in southern Florida. Locally, he serves on many boards, the board of Monmouth Medical Center, and the member of their Strategic Planning and Finance Committee. He's also an appointed commissioner on the Monmouth County Improvement Authority, which provides financing to the local communities in the country. To keep busy, he's a managing partner of an investment advisory and management firm Skyview Investment Advisors. Andy Melnick knows more about what's going on in the Middle East than most people who are Middle East advisors. And so I welcome you to our bima.
Thank you. Linus Pauling said, the secret of long life is hold on to the handrail. I'm holding on to the handrail.
So we got you a couple waters down there,
Oh,
in case you want.
I'll manage. The last time I was up here was my bar mitzvah, so I'll try. You know, I want to shalom, and it's interesting. In this environment, shalom's important. Peace. And I want to thank the friends that have joined us. Besides the Cantor and the Rabbi, I have a couple other victims of my emails out in the audience. I think Bob and Zach are out there, so they know what it means to be a victim of my emails. But, you know, I think Martin Luther King said something like, you know, rather than remembering the words of our enemies, we'll remember the silence of our friends. And that's important. Anyway, and I know a lot of us feel kind of lonely in this environment. The American Jewish Committee is the oldest Jewish organization in the United States dealing with the rights of people, initially of Jews, but broadly others. It was founded in 1906, and it was founded because of the pogroms in Russia. In the prior 2 or 3 years, roughly 100 to 200 Jews were massacred in 2 different cities. And it's personal to me because my father came from Russia. He's an immigrant watchmaker. And he used to describe how his parents used to have to hide him from the, as he called them, the Cossacks, as they ran through the towns firing at the houses of Jews. We have offices in major cities in the United States, as well as offices in Europe, Berlin, Paris, Brussels, and Warsaw. More interesting, we have an office in Jerusalem, and most recently in Abu Dhabi. The head of our Jerusalem office, it's amazing when you go around the world, you can get Zoom anywhere, which I get sick of Zoom, but I've got to watch it in Abu Dhabi. But anyway, after the war started, we had a Zoom call with her. She's a retired lieutenant colonel in the IDF, handling media, and now she was called up. And she said, you know, I went to get gas today before I went to the, and he said, everybody getting gas was in a military uniform. And not only was she called up, her husband was called up. And not only was her husband called up, but her 2 sons were called up. And just think about that. She has a couple of daughters left at home. And we opened an office in Abu Dhabi after the Abraham Accords, and heading that is a former ambassador to Oman. Why I'm up here is I just came back from Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia. I've been in the Emirates and the Gulf states probably six times or so over the last decade. My first trip there was in 2012, visiting the Emirates, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Bahrain, Qatar, and then later on visiting Oman. And I've been there quite a few times, but this is the first trip to Saudi Arabia. The American Jewish Committee, among other things, besides dealing in domestic, is the Global Jewish Advocacy Organization. David Harris, who retired this year, initially was the leader in freeing the Jews from Russia. And then David became head of AJC, very much focused on global, and as Israelis called him, he was the Secretary of State of the Jewish people. And our job is to advocate for Jews around the world and for Israel. Before I get into my trip, last June, but it relates to what we're seeing today, last June, the AJC every 5 years has it on the anniversary of the 5-year anniversary, this time 75 years, of the State of Israel. And part of that, I took a trip to Gaza, along the Gaza border. And what did they say to me? They said, 95% of the time living here is like heaven. It's the other 5%. And despite that, we were visiting with startup companies developing new technologies in that kind of environment. And that's what Israelis are about. One of the companies had a medical device that is before the Federal Drug Administration for approval. Another one is selling products. So here you are, living in that environment. At that time, Israel was opening its borders to Gazan citizens. They could come into Israel. First they said 10,000. At the time I was there, it was 20,000. And part of the effort was that when they worked in Israel, they were earning 2 to 10 times more than they could earn in Gaza. And as a result, it could be an economic stimulus to Gaza. And the hope, and hope's not a strategy, as it turned out, the hope was that as a result, Hamas would become more open and try to do more for its people. And then we met with the mayor of one of the kibbutzes. And what he was doing was developing an industrial center along the border in which many from Gaza could come in. And again, to attempt to improve the economy of Gaza. Well, he was killed. And they took us right to the border, and here's the fence, and you go out a little bit, and there's their fence. And for the life of me, having been in the Army, I don't know why they didn't have mines between the two fences, but apparently they didn't. So let me get to my trip to Abu Dhabi and formerly the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. As you know, the Abraham Accords occurred a couple of years ago. Let me just focus on the difference between the Gulf states and the peace treaty with Egypt and Jordan. The peace treaty between Egypt and Israel and Jordan is a cold peace. And I'll tell you why in a second. But when I was in Cairo, and it had to be before COVID, the Israeli ambassador said, I can only talk to the president, Sisi, and the foreign minister. None of the cabinet members would talk to him. The same was true in Jordan. And the reason the difference is between the Gulf states and the relationships ultimately with Israel and Jordan and Egypt, in my opinion, and let me back up, my wife tells me at our age, we're only observers. So I'm an observer of what's going on, okay? But from my perspective, the difference is Jordan and Egypt had wars with Israel, one. And two, Jordan and Egypt have Palestinians, either in the case of Egypt, Gaza, and they try to keep them out of Egypt because when they get out of Gaza, they create a lot of problems for the Egyptians. They have to send the army in. In the case of Jordan, I forget what percentage of the population is Palestinians, but it's pretty substantial. And I do want to make one comment. I was talking to friends today, because that's all you're talking about these days. And I said, from 1948 to 1963, Jordan controlled the West Bank. Why wasn't a Palestinian state formed then? From my perspective in talking to people in the Gulf, I hate to put it, they're not respectful of the Palestinians for some reason or other. Now, if you look at the Gulf states, they have not had a war with Israel, and they don't have a lot of Palestinians, and they have a lot to lose if they have a war with Israel because they have oil, they got a lot of money, etc. So it's a really different perspective. Now, let me talk about Abu Dhabi and the Emirates. Abu Dhabi is the Emirates are basically two major centers. Abu Dhabi, which is oil, and they have a lot of money. And then there's Dubai, which is a business and financial center, which is a bit of a facade, because during 2008, they almost went under, except Abu Dhabi saved them, and that huge building, which I've been on top of, in Dubai, was renamed after the Abu Dhabi family that runs Abu Dhabi. I just want to note, my first trip to Abu Dhabi, I stayed in the Emperor Palace. And in the lobby was a gold vending machine. And surprisingly, it had a Christmas tree. But they had gold decorations on it. So I said, how much is that worth? Oh, they said around $25 million. So I was about ready to hijack the Christmas tree. But anyway, the Abraham Accords, when it comes to the Emirates and Abu Dhabi, are very successful. It's an enormous amount of trade going on. The trade between Israel and Abu Dhabi now exceeds the trade of both countries with Japan. So it's very dynamic. Over 1 million Israeli tourists have gone to Abu Dhabi. I know I got a call from my sister. Her niece is getting married and they're going to Dubai. Should they be afraid? I said, come on. That's not all I could say. You know, you're an American. You're going over there. And by the way, in Dubai, there's an onslaught of Russians going there. I had to go between the airport in Dubai, and I said, I understand you have a lot of Russians. This is an Egyptian who's living in Dubai. He says, I wish we could get rid of him. But anyway, very dynamic relationship. What the Emirates say, we're not going back. The relationship with Israel is not with the government, it's with the state. And while they may be unhappy with governments at times, they're business people. And the Israeli ambassador in Abu Dhabi is a business person. And so it's business, and that's what's going on. What is interesting is there's not much tourism coming from the Emirates to Israel. We met with a major investment firm, one of the sovereign funds, government money. And she said when she first went to Israel, she had guards. Now she goes, no problem. But what we were told, one of the reasons why the Emiratis are afraid to go to Israel isn't the Israelis, it's the Palestinians. Because one of the reasons they want to go is to the mosque in Jerusalem. And when they go there, they're going to be the Palestinians, and they'll see they're from the Emirates, and they made peace with Israel. So that's part of the problem. I'm just trying to think. There's so much going on there. They're looking for a rabbi, full-time rabbi in Abu Dhabi. For many of you think this is incredible. And what the Emirates have built in Abu Dhabi, when I first came there, they were talking about building the Louvre. The Louvre is now there. NYU is there, but it was in businesses. Now the entire campus with 2,500 students. But what they have built is in reflection of the Abrahamic religions. So of equal size, they have built a synagogue, a mosque, and a church. The only problem they face is, are they going to have a Reform rabbi? Are they going to have an Orthodox rabbi? The same thing with the Christian church. And in the mosque, is it going to be Sunni or Shia? But anyway, it's there. And their focus is on tolerance. And I realize sitting back here, you got to say, they must be blowing smoke up you know what. And the answer is no. It's in their self-interest. And once it's in your self-interest, it's a lot different. Now let's get to Saudi. And here I have to be very careful. The Saudis were very sensitive. At the American Jewish Committee, throughout the world, we send what we call diplomatic missions. I've gone to almost every country in Asia on a diplomatic mission. For example, I went to Vietnam. Why did we go to Vietnam? Vietnam was going on the Security Council. What do the leaders of Vietnam know about the Middle East and Israel? And that was the whole objective. And we came there and said, Israel has tremendous agricultural technology and the use of water. Israel will be prepared to take some of your people and train them. And this is the way you build the relationships. The whole idea of what we're doing is human relationships, getting to know people. My first trip to, I told my wife the other day, I said, despite I'm a member of the American Jewish Committee, I spent more time in Arab countries than in Israel. My first trip to the area, I flew into Abu Dhabi and then went to Bahrain, Mana. And I I'm greeted by a member of the Foreign Service in his thobe, and I'm sort of taken aback. This is my first trip to Arab countries. But what you find, he was a 29-year-old, he was getting married, he's going to do, and all of a sudden you're talking about the same things you would be talking back here. And that's the whole idea, whole objective. We have, AJC, American Jewish Committee, has been visiting the Gulf states for 30 years. And while you can't talk about it publicly, we played a very important role in creating the Abraham Accords because of these relationships that we built. And there's others that we can't talk about, but we're not a pom-pom agency. We're very quiet, and as a result, most people don't know what we do, particularly internationally. So anyway, we went to Saudi Arabia. We're probably the first major American Jewish organization to visit Saudi Arabia. Our president had been there before, but we were scheduled to leave on, let's say, Sunday. We didn't get clearance 2 days before. That's how nervous they were about us coming. And you can tell I'm not a diplomat, so it would really be a problem. But anyway, I'll tell you a story one time about me being a diplomat on these trips. But we went there. And part of the thing we said to them is, part of our process will be to learn your culture and what your country's about, as well as meeting, and wherever we go, we meet with the senior government officials of that country. That's what we're doing. Whether it's, I won't go through it. But in addition, they wanted us to learn the culture of the trade-off was, we're gonna learn the culture and come back to America and talk to everybody at MRT about the culture, whatever. So we flew into Saudi Arabia. I can't say who we met, but on the first day. But the second day, we flew to an area where they wanted to encourage tourists to come, so I can talk about that. Al-Ula. I kept calling it Ula Bula, but Al-Ula. And most of Saudi Arabia is a desert with some cities in it, okay? And then oil drilling. But this area was mountainous, scenic, it was gorgeous, and a total surprise. And so we landed there on Friday, and Saturday the war started. And all of a sudden we had military protection. It was important there because you're sort of in the middle of nowhere, and you're pretty obvious. When you're in Riyadh, it's a little different. You get a little nervous about it, but I have been in Israel in 2 wars. AJC, to show support, we went over during the Hezbollah war and then one other war, and I've had the experience of being in a bomb shelter in one of the towns in Israel, in the south. So we spent time there, and then we flew to the capital and we met with some people. What I would tell you without being specific, because I cannot be, it is obvious if there hadn't been a war, and maybe that's the reason there is a war, there would have been, at some point in time, and I can't tell you how long, an agreement between Israel and Saudi. And I would also tell you that the issue of Palestine was not an issue for Saudis. It was an issue for the United States. And as far as the Saudis were concerned, whatever the United States and Israel agreed to, fine. And what you'll find, they have to say one thing in public, the leadership, because of the man in the street, or the women in the street, sorry. And I'll talk about women in the street in Saudi Arabia in a minute. But privately, and I'm not just talking about Saudis, I'm talking about the Arab leadership, they're tired of the Palestinians because they're creating, as we're seeing right now, all sorts of disruptions and uncertainties, and particularly since Iran is not their friend. You know, I met with one of the senior members of the foreign ministry in Emirates in Dubai, this was a few years ago, and he said to me, you know, for the longest time I never paid attention to the Palestinian-Israeli issue until the Persians moved into Arab territory, and that becomes the problem. So anyway, without getting in detail, I would say that there was a good chance, whether or not it comes back again, who knows what's going to happen with this. So again, hope is not a strategy, but I do think there's still a possibility. Now, getting to Saudi Arabia in general, it isn't what you think it is. It is what you thought it was 5 years ago. We had a member of our group who was not Jewish, and he was the husband of one of our members on this trip. And he's been going to Saudi Arabia for 25 years. He's a global investor in real estate. And he said, you would not believe the change in the last 5 years. And there's a difference between the people, let's say, 50 and older, and the younger people. The younger people could care less about the Palestinian situation. All they're interested in jobs and just what most American people are interested in. And because MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, is so dynamic in trying to create growth in the economy, he is hugely popular, based on the polls, with the younger people. And what we were told was, when you ever meet anybody in the Saudi government, they have boom, boom, boom. Here's what we're going to do, here's how we're going to do it, and here's when it's going to be completed. It's very dynamic, extremely dynamic. And they're building a new city in northwest Saudi Arabia, which they already started on, which is quite, and they will do it, is quite impressive. Socially, the women are not, it sounds strange here, but now they can drive. They can go to the restaurants all by themselves. They go to theaters. This is a major change in 5 years. And we met with someone, and they told us that, what do you call it? The books, they've made 200,000 changes in the academic books in the last year. And our professional at AGC said there's been a major change in how they treat religions, but it's still not perfect. And his son of this person was there, and what you will find, and I will stop talking because I realize I've gone overboard, what you'll find is the leaders of Saudi Arabia have all been educated in the United States. They speak English not like me, I hope they don't, but anyway, one of them, for example, got his degree at Michigan State, Pittsburgh, and his son was born in America. So we're talking about his wife. He said, well, his wife chooses to be in the old way. She teaches, but driven to work, and so on and so forth. And then his son said, I told my mother I'm American, because he was born there, and I'll have it the way Americans do it, rather than the way we do it, have done it here. So there's a lot of change going on. It's dynamic, and I will tell you, half our group was women, and they were totally surprised by what was happening there, okay? And so with that, I think I just was overboard.
It's okay.
I don't know if you want to take any questions or not.
Take 5 questions.
How about 4? You got to
Okay.
be Jewish.
All right, 4, all right, or 6.
Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
I'm glad you got back safe and sound.
Yeah, no, everybody's worried. It was not a big deal, honestly. If I had been in the war like the last time when I went to Israel, I'd say, okay.
Well, can you talk about Qatar? And what's the deal with Qatar? Are they friend? Are they foe? What's their role in
That's right. I visited Qatar the first time I went over there, and since then AJC cannot visit them. Qatar is the largest exporter of liquid natural gas, and I've been at their plant. And they have Al Jazeera. So they're known as a gas pump with a radio antenna, okay? But they get great joy at pulling the legs of all the people in the Gulf. That's one. 2, when I visited there, for those of you who believe in democracy, that was right after the election that the Crown Prince, or whatever he was, Crown Prince, by the way, when you go into Qatar in their head government building, the dome is bigger than the Capitol. They said to us when Bill Clinton came in here, his mouth dropped. I mean, it's incredible. But anyway, what he said to us, look, You Americans said the Palestinians should have an election. They did. Hamas won. What's the problem with us sending money to Hamas? They won the election. And that's how they think. But they are a troublemaker generally in the Gulf. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
I got a question up here.
Oh, question, Amy.
You said that Saudi Arabia wasn't the problem around with Palestine,
Yeah.
but the U.S. was.
No, I didn't say the U.S. was the problem. What I said was the Saudis are looking to the U.S. to resolve, to come up with whatever agreement with Israel it is. So the problem is with, I don't admit that the U.S. was the problem, but the problem and the solution will come between the U.S. and Israel. And it's funny, last question. We had former Congressman Howard Berman, who was the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, and he was making a presentation to the diplomatic school in Abu Dhabi. Nice, made questions, just like this. At the end of the question, then somebody else raised a hand, and he made a statement against America and all that, and I shut him up then. And then he charged to the stage to go after Howard Berman. So we sort of surrounded him, and I said, Howard sort of was aware of what was going on. So I said to him, follow me, and I got him to as it turned out, he was the deputy ambassador from Iran.
Oh.
So I've almost started another war.
Oh. Andy, we're very, very grateful to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We asked Andy to come for many reasons. His incredible knowledge of the whole overarching situation in the Middle East at such a difficult time when we are so focused on something that is so scary. You've given us hope that we'll get through this and that Israel has people in the Middle East, countries in the Middle East, and hope always. And as you said, hope's not a strategy, but you know, we have to have hope. And I've chosen a song written by Naomi Shemer, and it's called Lu Yehi. And Lu Yehi was written during the Yom Kippur War in 1973. And she wanted to have a song kind of like the Beatles, Let It Be. And she didn't really like the idea of the song Let It Be, and she adapted it. Her version is a hopeful prayer for a quick end to the war and for the safety of the IDF soldiers. And her husband, who had just returned from military service, because she was going to write she was trying to enlarge her audience and get to a more global reach. And he said, I want you to write a Jewish song for the Jewish people. And she felt very strongly about this. And this was a song that was sung and gave people a lot of hope during that time. And in some ways, we're very much back at that time, watching and praying that Israel will solve this quickly. And the translation is as follows. There's a white sail on the horizon and a black cloud, but all that we ask is that peace will be. And in the evening windows, the light of the holiday candle flickers, and all we seek, may it be. May it be, may it be. Please, may it be. All that we seek, may it be. And what's that sound I hear? The cry of the shofar and the sound of the drums. All that we ask, may it be. And if only there can be heard within all of this one prayer from my lips also. All we seek, may it be. עוד יש מפרש לבן באופק מול ענן שחור כבד כל שנבקש לו יהי אם בהחלמות הערב או נרות החג רועד כל שנבקש לו יהי לו יהי לו יהי Hallelujah. Kol shenevakash lu yehi. Lu yehi, lu yehi, hallelujah. Kol shenevakash lu yehi. עוד יש מפרש לבן באופק מול ענן שחר כבד, כל שנבקש לו יהי. אם בחלום האות הערב או נרות החג רועד, כל שנבקש לו יהי. לו יהי, לו יהי, hallelujah. כל שנבקש לו יהי. לו יהי, לו יהי, hallelujah. כל שנבקש לו יהי.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm Amy Sukanik, and on behalf of Monmouth Reformed Temple, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us tonight. We have a few announcements for this evening. Israel desperately needs our financial support. We suggest considering the organizations Magen Adam or Jewish Federation. The links can be found in the weekly e-blast. Shabbat morning virtual Torah study is tomorrow at 9 a.m. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. is the bar mitzvah of Colton Fox, Mazel Tov. Join the Adult Ed Committee on Wednesday, October 18th at 7 p.m. for a Zoom presentation on Hollywood movies and the Jewish experience presented by Film Shul, RSVP by October 16th. The installation of Rabbi Edelman will take place on Friday, October 20th at 7 p.m. A special oneg will follow. The Tzedakah Box collection for October is again supporting the Maui Strong Fund of the Hawaii Community Foundation, working in close collaboration with state and county leaders, nonprofit organizations, and community members to understand the quickly evolving priorities. The Maui Strong Fund provides financial resources to support the immediate and long-term recovery needs for the people and places affected by the devastating Maui fires. Financial donations currently support necessities for displaced families such as food, clothing, and shelter. MRT continues to engage together in meaningful ways. We would love for more people to invest in our mission of connecting as a Jewish community. We welcome your investment of time as well as donations to help us grow. For information on joining our MRT family or making a donation, please contact Jordana in our office or visit our website, www.mammothreformtemple.org. Rabbi Edelman and Cantor Clissold are always available as well. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Amy.
We turn to page 586 as we rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekedu l'yotzer b'reshit, shehu noteh shamayim v'yotzei la'aretz, ומשב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים, ואלוהינו אחד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We turn to page 594. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream to be to be and or to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing to love what death has touched. We mark the passing of Richard Brown, who will be laid to rest on Sunday at 12:30. We remember those in the period of Shloshim, in a month after their death, Marcia Palmer Reynolds, and those whose yahrzeits, the anniversary of their death, falls this week. Leo Bernstein, Ruth Brenner, Maxine Bick, Jim Cook, David Doctorow, Frida Elias, Sadie Finkelstein, Larry Ginsberg, Regina Jonas, Betty Henkin, Martha S. Kaufman, Leonard Israel Kleinman, Suzanne Kretzmer, Miriam Credell, Nancy Kruppet, Lynn Lowenstein, Carmela Pernick, Paul Rapisardi, Fred Steinberg, Ezra Murray Weiss, and Lynn DeMatteo. If there's anyone else whose name we should mention at this time, I'm going to ask you to stand first and mention it, and then we'll join together in the Mourner's Kaddish. Thank you. And we mention all of those who were killed last week in Israel. We rise together on page 598 and recite the ancient Aramaic words of the Mourner's Kaddish.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba, v'yalma divra hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechod u'yomechod, v'chayed kol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'lemei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudisha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiram v'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Our closing song.
Our closing song is a non-traditional version of Am Yisrael Chai. And Am Yisrael Chai means the Jewish people lives. And that is what we have to remember, that we will go on. So do your best if you want to stay clapping with the drum, and I'll do my best as well. Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai. This will get easier for you. Am
That melody comes to us from a synagogue in Uganda, where many Jews gather together to pray every Friday night. They have put out an album of their music, which is a fusion of African beat and Hebrew, and it's stunning. And to have them, they once visited one of the congregations that I was at, and everyone brought out their drums, and they danced, and oh, I loved it. So thank you for sharing that melody.
Yeah, they're much better on the drums than us, but we're trying. So we're going to conclude
We
with
join together in making motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
May this be a week with news of peace. May this be a week of calm for each and every one of us, as we know that the people that we're looking for are found. And we continue to give our strength to Israel and to all those who are coming back from Israel to the United States, to home. We welcome them with open arms. Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Please join us inside for our oneg.